You know, you can't wander around the internet for too long these days without bumping into some content on Dodge's new Charger EV now that it has been released into the market. And the more of this content that I've consumed, the more that I've found that it seems to fall into a couple of different camps. And neither one of those camps are doing the brand of Dodge any real favors. The first camp is probably the most obvious. These are folks that just don't like EVs in general, but these are Dodge fans first. And these folks aren't going to be happy with anything that is not powered by a V8. These are, again, the traditionalist muscle car fans. And so regardless of how good, how quick, or what have you in terms of advantages that an EV or that the Hurricane 6 powered cars would have over a V8, they're just not having it, and they will never spend their hard-earned money on one of those EVs. They're also very quick to point out the cost of these things, and regardless of what kind of deals you can get on one of those electric vehicles, it still doesn't take away the fact that the sticker price for one of those things is near or over $80,000. It wasn't that long ago where you could buy a very well-equipped Scat Pack for just over half that number. So for them, they feel like they're getting ripped off, and they also feel like in some ways they're being left behind. Not good to do for Dodge guys. But the other camp may be even worse, and it seems to build upon the first. It works out like this. Now that that car has hit the marketplace, folks are getting their hands on them, and they're starting to get them on the street and onto drag strips where they are clowning Mopar owners with 5.7s and 392s, basically getting out there and doing what an EV does best, which is go extremely quick in a straight line, making fools out of guys with the traditional muscle car, you know, the one that got us where we are today, and making them somehow or another getting bullied on, if you will. Now, keep in mind, these are cars that are 2, 3, 4 years old. These are guys that had spent good money on those Hemi-powered cars because they wanted that V8 crescendo sounding off as they are blasting down the road. There's nothing romantic about an EV for these guys. They want the V8, and again, muscle car purists as they are, do tend to prefer that V8, but there's no denying how strong that EV is. It's just that when you pack the strength of the EV in terms of performance along with a bullying mentality and just a smugness and an ick factor that goes along the same lines as, well, those Plaid owners that would go out and clown on race cars at the drag strip. Yeah, I think you kind of get the idea of where I'm going with this. There's a lot of, well, I don't want to call it negative, but there's a little bit of a bitter mentality going on right now surrounding that car. And I gotta say that the more content that I did consume around that car, the less I felt for Dodge. I quit really having that warm and fuzzy about the brand, that hope that maybe one day we were going to get some kind of a muscle car powered by a V8 and all was going to be right and well with the world. Now, it doesn't really even seem to matter if Dodge ever does put a V8 in that car. It will always fall short of the performance envelope of whatever top tier EV that it rolls across. That's just going to be the facts. When it comes to pricing, all of these cars are obnoxiously expensive, at least when you compare them to the cars that they're replacing from just a few years ago. And so because of that, I feel like there's a lot of Dodge owners that are currently maybe thinking about holding out for the Charger, or at least they might have thought about maybe buying their time a little bit until Dodge released a V8 in this new platform. I feel like they're starting to look past the brand now. They're seeing some of this content. They're watching the cars that they own get outrun by this EV, which takes no skill to drive. It's all-wheel drive, is vastly more expensive than the vehicle that they own. They're not aspiring to own an EV. They're not looking down the line and down the lineup at something like a Hellcat or what have you. It doesn't really matter, because at this stage of the game, they feel like they've either been bullied, or because they're watching the content, the more vast majority, at this stage of the game, they feel like it's maybe just not for them anymore. And so Dodge really did screw this up about in every way possible that you could. They released an EV that nobody really asked for, and that now that it's running around in the market, nobody wants. They're not really selling these things. Getting back to price, yes, they are checking in at just shy of $80,000, but there seem to be a lot of deals that dealers are offering up on these things just to try to move them off the lot. Now, I think at this stage of the game, there's a lot of Dodge fans that, are happy to see these things rot on the lot because of what they've already seen in terms of content. A little bit of content, a little bit of negativity, a little bit of bully attitude, and a little bit of smugness goes a long way with traditional muscle car fans. And I feel like that's where we are now with this car. But I'd love to hear your opinion of it. So post up your comments. Let me know what you think about that new Dodge Charger EV now that you're seeing content on it. Can't wait to hear what you have to say. And with that, talk to you later. Take care.